Tonight's program, the guests were once part of an all-girl garage band called the Mod 4. The Mod 4 hailed from Aledo, Illinois, and were only in 8th grade when the precocious teenage friends decided to form a rock and roll group in the summer of 1966. The band members include Alice Appleton, Barbara Stretzman, and our two speakers today, which are Nellie Hastings and Kathy Talkin. At the time, they were billed as the youngest all-girl combo in the country. And like many great things, the group got its start because these young women were bored. The idea to start the band was a joke at first, but the fact that they all played instruments made them realize it didn't have to be. If they wanted it bad enough, they could make it happen, especially if they had the support of their parents, which they did, especially Kathy's dad, Tab. He became the band's manager, agent, promoter, chauffeur, and stagehand. The group's first gig was in December of 1966 at a cafeteria dance after a high school basketball game. Soon the group was playing other dances and local events. And after less than a year of playing together, they took a trip to a recording studio in Davenport, Iowa, and recorded their first single. As the combo continued to perform live, their set list grew to include other hits like Hang On Sloopy, White Rabbit, Sgt. Pepper's, Purple Haze, and Aretha Franklin's Respect. The Mod 4 had its biggest gig in 1969 in Los Angeles on the rock variety show Happening 69. Produced by Dick Clark, the show was hosted by Paul Revere and the Raiders, whom the girls got to meet and hang out with as they prepared for the Battle of the Bands segment of the show. Despite their busy schedules, these young women were all honor students in high school, but that didn't stop them from getting their kicks in the screaming 60s. Here to tell their story is Nellie Hastings and Kathy Talkin.
Hello? Oh, I don't see myself. You see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hello, I'm Kathy.
And
Hi,
I'm
Kathy.
Nellie. I'm Nellie. I'm sorry.
And we're here to tell you the story of the Mod 4. First, we're going to start off with identifying ourselves from this picture. We were probably 16 or 17 here. That's me in the middle. I'm the drummer. And to the right is Alice Appleton. She played the organ.
And I'm Nellie. I'm behind Kathy's drumstick there. And our bass guitarist, Barb, is next to me.
Okay. First of all, before we start, I'd like to thank David Kalinsky for inviting us to do this presentation, and also the Rogers Park Historical Society to tell our story about our fun little event when we were growing up in junior high and high school. So
Absolutely.
before we start, this is just a little background on garage bands. This was a term that it wasn't coined until the 80s, and it described bands in the 60s. There were so many bands in the mid to late 60s. After the Beatles hit, they played guitars, organ, drums, and we were part of that. So I guess we fall into that category, although we didn't practice in a garage. We didn't think of ourselves as a garage band. We practiced in my parents' living room. But this term came about later, just describing all these massive amount of bands that came about at this time. But one thing different about us is that we were all female, and there were not many female bands playing instruments as we did at that time.
Yeah, you had groups like the Supremes and the Chiffons, and they were all singers. So we came along and we're providing the instrumentation as well. So that was great. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, we're going to start off with this rather amusing pictures of our inspiration. That's me on the left. You can see I'm dressed in the height of fashion there. I was in 7th grade. I was at Nellie's house, and we're standing in front of our inspiration, which was she had a gigantic bulletin board, the biggest I have ever seen then or since then, filled with pictures of the Beatles, Herman's Hermits. No, go back.
Back, please. Yes.
Yep, sorry.
There we go.
Dave Clark 5. That was Nellie's snare drum. Now I'm decked out here, and the lead singer of the Byrds, Jim McGuinn, had these square glasses that were very popular at the time. You see Nellie and I both have them. This was 1966. I'm wearing a hat styled like John Lennon's caps, although his were dark. And it was a silly picture. I have a silly look on my face. I didn't.
We were silly girls.
Yeah, I didn't really have my bangs like that. But so I loved the Beatles. We were inspired by those bands. And my parents bought me a snare drum when I was in 6th grade, and I would play along to records. When I was in 7th grade, Christmas of 7th grade, I received a drum set. And we had Christmas with our relatives almost all the time. I was at my grandma's house, my cousins were there, my aunt and uncle. Well, I woke up really early in the morning. I went downstairs. I think I was anticipating a drum set. There it was. I started banging on that drum set and gave everyone a really joyful Christmas morning awakening. One thing I didn't mention, on that bulletin board behind us, there were a lot of pictures of Paul Revere and the Raiders. They were very popular at the time. They had lots of hit songs. We really liked them. But at the time, we didn't know that we would one day be meeting them.
Yeah, yeah. Our grade school and junior high was at one end of town, and after school, Kathy and I would walk through the main part of town and past the shops with the teen magazines, and then also stop at the record store to see what new things were out. And so we had a plentiful supply of goodies. And of course, like Kathy said, I had this huge bulletin board, which my parents had put in my room because, you know, parents and Scotch tape on woodwork, it was not a good thing. So anyway, my inspiration, I wanted to play the guitar because I love George and I love Paul and I love John. And I thought, hey, I want to learn how to make things sound like She Loves You and so on. And so my brother had a little guitar, and I decided maybe I should take some lessons. So this fellow with a plastic pen holder in his pocket came and sat in our living room and tried to teach me guitar, which was rather boring. It was like piano lessons. You had to learn scales and such, which was fine, I'm very glad I did. But it didn't sound like She Loves You. So it wasn't really good. So I sort of set it aside, but I went to summer camp, and a lot of girls there, camp counselors, were playing the guitar, folk guitar. And I thought, I can do that. So I went home and I really worked, and I taught myself how to play songs like Yellow Submarine and Beatles songs, like on their early album was called Misery. And of course, that's exactly how it sounded, true misery, with screeching and tough sounds out of the guitar, but it worked. And gradually I got a little better. And one time, and you can see the date on Kathy's picture there, it said May 66. Well, by the end of the summer, I felt I was getting better, and I was over at her house, and all of a sudden I said, well, why don't we start a band? So we called 3 of our friends, Alice and Barb and Gail, and Alice and Barb came over to the idea that, hey, that sounds like sort of fun. And that is how we began. So if we move on to the next slide.
We were 13 years old.
Yeah, 13 years old in the fall of our eighth grade year when we started this out. I had my brother's guitar, as you saw there. I have my very first electric guitar was one that you'll see in later pictures. I got it for cheap out of a Monroe catalog from Chicago, and it was so difficult to hold the strings down. It just was so tough to play. Eventually, though, I traded it in and bought this nice little red Epiphone Coronet, which was a very cool guitar. I may have gotten it for Christmas, or at least partially for Christmas, because I saved my money eventually of every time we played, we'd get a little bit of cash, and I put it towards this guitar. But as the years passed, and the Beatles, of course, got Epiphone Casino guitars, like the bigger one you see. And I thought that was really cool. And so I do remember I paid totally for that, but not the value that you see pictured on your screen there today. Alice was our keyboardist, organist. She had taken piano lessons and always kept up with it, and still plays piano to this day that I know. I gave up on piano when I started school band, when we all started school band, because it was more fun to play with everyone. But I was like the arranger for the group. I'd hear a record and think of how we could play it with our 4 instruments. And I would get the record and work it out by ear and work out my part. And Alice would be able to work out her part real easily. So that was a good part of our sound, was Alice's organ playing. And Barb started out as a singer with us, and then we decided we needed a bass guitar. And so she started out with that little white job there, and eventually graduated to the bigger Gibson bass guitar. And she and I and Kathy took some electric guitar lessons at one point so that we could all get a little better and play our songs more easily. So, and then Kathy was our percussion.
Yes, so here I am on my drums. This is not the drum set I got in 7th grade. This was probably a year or so into the band. I can't remember exactly, but Dad, my parents bought me this Slingerland set. It was beautiful, that red swirl. And we had that Mod 4 custom made. I never had lessons. I just kind of was self-taught. So that was just at one of our outside state fairs.
Yep.
Okay, next slide. Oh, my dad was our manager. If it were for my parents, we wouldn't have this band. They bought the equipment. My dad booked the gigs. You see a van there. That was his Tasty Freeze van. He owned a Tasty Freeze, painted Mod 4 on it. It took us around everywhere. He was also a freshman algebra teacher. I had him. Our little town was only 3,000 population, Aledo. My mom came with us too. You can see her there. She taught 2nd grade. I was right across the hall with a different teacher, but they took us everywhere. And I don't know how Dad did it. He ran the Tasty Freeze, and he did this. And he also excelled at sports when he was young. He had letters and everything. He's in the Monmouth Hall of Fame. After World War II, he received a letter asking him if he wanted to try out to join the LA Rams football team. So yeah, without him and my parents, this never would have happened. So there's a little picture there of the Tasty Freeze. That was really the hot spot in town. That was a big hangout, and people stayed there. And a little town, you know, there's not a lot of places, but we had fun. I worked there as well.
Yeah.
And
Kathy's dad was our all of our teacher for algebra. And boy, Kathy was an only child, but her parents got 3 more daughters.
I cashed in on that.
In pardon me?
I cashed in on that, being the only child.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was the youngest, so I did the same. But anyway, you know, they had 3 more daughters once they took on this big hobby of ours with the Mod 4. So they're
Right.
great people. And you can see here's a bigger shot of the van. You'll see it in color shortly. But Kathy and Barb and I are sitting on top for a homecoming parade, because Alice was in the homecoming court that year and was on a float in the parade. But it was quite a large van that could hold all of our equipment. And you can see the nice custom brand equipment here. We had the sound system, the tall red ones there, plus another big speaker that's set up on a tripod. And our amplifiers for the organ and guitars were like this black one here, but they were all red from what we had. And so Kathy's dad really invested in that for us to look very professional in our appearance on stage.
Okay, well, here's another shot of the Mod 4, and there I am in a sheepskin coat that my mom brought me from Israel. She'd been over there on a vacation, and that was so unusual, and it really fit in with the times. I remember I loved that coat. I'd wear it everywhere. And this is just, we had calling cards in Mod 4. We also had stationery that said the Mod 4.
Yep. Yeah, it was, again, very professional. And if you look behind me here, we had posters that
Right.
Kathy's dad put out in the communities wherever we were going to play. And this other painted sign hung up when we were performing as well, advertising some of our special music. All right, well, here is all of photos of all of us from our first gig. Kathy's mom was really good with helping with our costumes. We had navy blue hip huggers and these great polka dot shirts, which were just perfect for the time, and the mod hats. And maybe it's because we came up with the mod, or found the mod hats, we ended up with the name Mod 4. I think 8th grade PE, it was said, why don't we call ourselves the Mod 4? But anyway, our very first performance was in December of our 8th grade year. And we were not at our junior high here. We were very courageous little girls who said yes to playing at a dance after a basketball game at the high school. I think we knew about 12 songs. And so we had to play them a couple times through. And you can see that was my first guitar there. And I was working hard on my brother's guitar, trying to play whatever we were singing there. But anyway, that we had 3 performances, 3 gigs in December of 1966.
And I thought those shirts were just so cool. Those with the polka dots. We were really styling here with those polka dot shirts and those caps.
You bet. All
Okay,
right,
next.
moving on to the next one. Oh, no,
Yeah.
well, okay. This is really the next one. Okay. Over the years, we had quite a number of songs, and I'm sorry for the crossouts, but I used this running list to make song lists for each of us to have when we were playing, so we knew what would come next in our performance. Some songs are missing, but because I've thought of a couple things that don't seem to show up here, but a lot of them were really fun to play, and we played them really well, actually. I'm not sure all of them we did, but we practiced a couple times a week after school, sometimes on snow days or Saturdays before we had some performance. And but you can notice songs here like White Rabbit, Piece of My Heart, Purple Haze, Somebody to Love,
Clearwater, the Beatles.
Yeah, they were just a lot of fun to play, and we had a lot of fun doing that.
There was a song that I thought was a lot of fun. It's another thing of the times. Well, one thing, we had black light that we would show on a White Rabbit poster, and there was a song that was popular called Time by the Chambers Brothers, and my dad had purchased a strobe light, and there was one time when we'd play this song, and it had a long psychedelic middle part, and Dad would turn on the strobe light, which makes a person look kind of strange, but we thought that was a lot of fun, and I think people enjoyed that. But when Nellie made up this list, she didn't know we'd be showing it on a PowerPoint presentation 50 years later, so it's a little scribbly.
Yep, we had several lists, but this is a good portion of the songs.
We had over 85 songs, I think, and we did over 125 gigs in our career.
Yep, that's quite a lot. Yes. Here we are at the VFW in our town, Aledo. We played there several times when they had dances. And I mentioned that we played first, the first gigs were three times in December of 66. And by the beginning of March of 67, we had more courage and we entered a battle of the bands up at a music store in Moline, Illinois. And you can see with the publicity shot there that, of course, all the other competitors were male. And but we are pictured there. You can see our polka dot shirts. So you can see we dressed up and we won third place. I have no idea what we played, but we did win, and we won a microphone that we could use for our performances. And so that was pretty cool. Another picture down below, which is a little hard to make out though, was another one that was in our hometown, a summer performance at the military academy that was in our town. Okay, and we did play a lot of different places, not just teen clubs, YMCA dances, school dances, but they had teen fairs, town festivals, county fairs, you name it. We would play all sorts of places all over Western Illinois and Eastern Iowa. One of the furthest away from home was at Great Lakes Naval Station. And I think we also played down in Rantoul at one point. So we were everywhere.
This is just another slide of gigs, and the one on the left, that was a one-time thing. That was early on, kind of a folk thing we did. That's me in the middle. We look so collegiate there with our white pants and our V-necked sweaters, but that was early on, and I can't remember exactly why we did that, but we did it.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was
usually behind the drums.
Cool thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was a school thing. And then on the right, just another time of us playing, and that's an outfit, probably my favorite one that Barb's mom had made. It was real shiny. Outfits at that time, they were so short, you know, we had tights on. And so you can move on to the next slide.
Yeah.
Just another one of our gigs at the state fair. Just some more pictures of us playing. I've got a couple scrapbooks full of pictures. Fortunately, my parents kept quite a lot of information on us. Okay, you can go to the next. So publicity, as I mentioned, we have a lot. I have a whole box full of clippings of from the newspaper, posters. There were 2 or 3 newspapers that did articles on us, and there was one really large one, and they did a whole front page article on us. And they put that picture, the one in the middle, of us running up the hill. It was kind of based on the Beatles and Hard Day's Night. They're all out running and having fun. So there were a couple of articles that we did, and someone came and took a lot of publicity photos. I mean, just all over. And that was running up the hill next to the house where I lived and where we practiced. That's a golf course in Aledo. And of course, you know, then we didn't have any social media, obviously. So our advertising was in the newspaper, and some on TV and radio a little bit, I think.
Yeah, well, this picture in the middle was in color in a special segment in the Rock Island newspaper. It was like the TV guide for the week, so it was like a special feature.
Yeah.
And another town out our way, Galesburg, they did a nice big article on us, so we got good coverage.
I actually
really
have
good.
that posted on my wall. I should have taken down. It's big. It's from the newspaper. It was quite large, in color, but we don't need to do that. We got enough.
No, we won't do
pictures.
that. Okay. Well, we were styling, as Kathy said, not only the polka dot shirts, but we had quite a number of outfits over the years. And Kathy's mom helped us out, right, you know, with the polka dot outfits, but all the red outfits that you see pictured, she found those for us to wear, matching outfits. And the ones with the plaid shirts we wore up to Chicago to go see the Monkees. And we had signs out in front of you said the stadium?
Yes.
It was, yeah. And it said the Mod 4 welcome the monkeys. And so, yeah, like they would care. Anyway, there below that picture, we are again on the same photo shoot running up the hill in our pink outfits. But Barb's mother also made the checked jumper outfits that you see in the next picture to the right. And they were the most comfortable. It was sort of lime green and navy blue with navy blue tights and whatever. But the one thing that we had early on were those go-go boots that you see in a couple of the shots here. I guess on the same trip to Chicago to see the monkeys, we went to Woolworth's on State Street downtown and all bought these go-go boots that were the hottest thing to wear on earth because we did get quite warm playing. But anyway,
and also the top picture in about our last year, we started to get away from dressing alike and started to dress a little differently. And we had 5 people for a while, but we get into that later.
Yeah, so sign of the times. Okay, well, when I was a freshman in high school, I became friends with a girl who was a senior who wrote a lot of poetry. And she asked me at one point, could I put her poems to music? And I'd never thought about that. So I did that with like folk songs. But then I thought, well, maybe we should do some something rock and roll. So before that, however, between 8th grade and freshman year, we decided again with courage to go to a recording studio in Moline, Illinois, and record Funny Little Clown by Bobby Goldsboro and In the Midnight Hour by Wilson Pickett. And we made that into a 45. And then the next summer, between our freshman and sophomore year, we did record 2 songs that I wrote, Open Up Your Mind and A Puppet.
Yeah, these are the red one is their first record and the blue is the second.
Yeah, yeah. And people even wanted our autographs at some point, right? How many records did your dad have made?
Oh, right. We I'm not sure if it's 250 or 500 records, but it was something like that. And we'd sell them at our gigs. And it was quite a fun experience. I mean, being that age, we're in a little town and we're going up and making a record. I mean, it was, I still have a few. In fact, you can buy one of them on Midnight Hour on eBay for about $150. I think this person's been trying to sell this for an awfully long time.
Yeah, I think they're up in Makokata, Iowa. They just don't want to keep it for some reason. I don't know.
So anyway, this was the kind of the pinnacle of our group. We watched the American Bandstand, various shows, and there was a show called Happening 69. It was a Dick Clark production. Paul Revere and the Raiders hosted it. The picture on the left is us with Paul Revere, and then there's Mark Lindsay in the right with all 4 of us there. They were very popular. So we heard about this. You could send it a tape. So we had a reel-to-reel in the family room where we practiced, and we made 3 songs. We sent it in, and we were chosen. We were, again, a novelty act, being female, and they picked the song In the Midnight Hour. So we flew out there, a pretty exciting event, and we went to the taping, and they would do an entire month of shows, 4 shows they do in a month. It was a really long day, but it was still so exciting for us. And I remember that the other bands were Tommy James and Shondells, Kenny Rogers in the first edition, and Canned Heat. Those are the 3 I remember. If there were others, I don't remember. And there we are standing behind Paul Revere and the Raiders drums there. We didn't play them.
When we did the performance, they let us choose some instruments they had on set. I don't think Kathy used those drums though, but the thing is, they picked the recording, one of the recordings that we sent, Midnight Hour, and Kathy lip synced to it while Barb and Alice and I sort of swayed to the music and pretended to play. And the thing is, it was so cool to be able to go all the way out to California to this great teen show, because, you know, there were teen shows since Dick Clark American Bandstand when my sister was a child, and or a teenager, and it was just a thrill. But here we were, 4 young ladies, very unique and pretty good looking if you know, look at those cool outfits too. But they put us against a group of children. And all of you, I'm sure, have seen the Cars for Kids commercial with the little children playing the instruments. And that was like Paula and the Pipsqueaks, who are our competitors. So obviously, after the little boy who played organ did a flip across the stage at the end of their performance.
You can't compete with that.
We could not do that in miniskirts or ever. So anyway, they won first prize, but you know, they won gift certificates to the Spiegel catalog for polyester turtleneck and slack outfits, which they would have had to grow into. We won second place, but we each won, brought home a nice Waltham watch. They were made in Elgin, Illinois, wind-up watches, of course, back then. And I still have mine. I think it still works.
Yeah, I do not. I don't know. I have no memory of that. I remember winning one, but I don't know how long I had it. But one more thing I wanted to say, Barb's mom made a lot of our outfits, but in this instance, my mom made one of these outfits. These were really nice outfits. They were heavy, but mom made one. She can't remember which one it was, but it was almost too much for her because she also taught and she helped with the band and, you know, me. So
Yep.
A friend of mine from across the street who liked to sew, Susie Henderson, she did 3 of the outfits.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can, unless you have something else.
No, go ahead.
And it's probably the last year we decided to get a lead singer. I guess we just wanted a little more pep in our band or something different. And so we asked someone in our high school, Trisha Meacham, to be lead singer. So you can see up there the Mod 4, no the Mod 5, no the Mod 4. We kept our name the same. But we did add Trisha probably about our last year, and she really, you know, did add to the band. So we were glad that we did that.
Yeah.
And we just, in our senior year, we really didn't have a last gig because we didn't plan it. It's like, not like a lot of bands,
Yeah.
oh, this is our last gig. We just kind of got busy with other things in our lives, and we just kind of stopped playing and
That's right.
graduated from high school and went on.
Yeah, well, Barb and I were in the fall play. I think Alice helped direct it. Alice and I were also involved with editing the yearbook. The 3 of you had jobs at the Tasty Freeze.
Eating all the hot fudge sundaes.
Yeah, well, I went to summer camp. That was my extra job, and it was a camp counselor. But anyway, we all got busy, and then of course thinking about college and our last year, and then we it was in October. We played at a club in Kewanee, Illinois, and we just sort of faded away. And never thought about, you know, the next gig. It's just the way it was.
Yeah,
Life moved on.
So what's funny is that we went on with our lives and really, you know, didn't think or hear much about the Mod 4. And then in the last 15 years, there have been some things that have happened that have kind of surprised us.
Yeah. I went to a reunion a few years ago of people who went to one of the summer camps that I worked with, camp counselors and others. And one of the girls who was actually our age had seen us play one time when actually Kathy and Alice came and were campers, and I was sort of a counselor in training, whatever, but we had Barb and Trisha come, and we performed, and this girl was there. She goes, "Oh, that was so cool when you came and played at camp. And I remember seeing you at the Mississippi Valley Fair in Davenport. That was just so great. It was a big piece of my childhood. And I listened to your records on YouTube all the time." And I said, "What? What are you talking about?" And it turns out that somebody had both of our records, or maybe they were different people, but they thought our music was good enough to record and do a little blurb on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and put in the Mod 4 and a title of our song, or even click on this link here on this screen, you can come up with our music.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Some of the comments are pretty funny too. I get quite a kick out of them. Also, and for me, I have a friend, Jill, who maybe it was 15 years ago, she had called me and said, "Didn't you say the name of your band was the Mod 4?" And I said, "Yeah." She'd been listening on the internet to a station from Germany or Holland, something like that. And she said she swears it was the Mod 4. Well, then later she had found on Amazon that there had been a CD published called 60s Rebellion. It's all females from bands from, I guess, around that time. So she bought that, made copies for all of us. And of course, we didn't get any royalties on that, but I have a copy of that. And that was very surprising.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, well, I kept playing the guitar. And obviously with the summer camp thing, but when I went to college, I played in coffee houses, and then I became a teacher, and I used my guitar in my teaching to sing with my students. And in the mid 90s, I had some surgery on my feet one summer, and I was sitting in my condo with a new guitar that I bought, and that's how I passed my time for like 6 weeks. And I began composing some songs and just brushing up on my acoustic skills. And one of my college friends, Renee, said, "Well, you should play in coffee houses again." And I said, "What?" I guess I'm out of touch. But anyway, it became a big thing for coffee houses back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I began doing that, and began writing a lot of my own songs and playing Beatles songs and others. And I happened to mention one time when I was playing in LaGrange that, boy, I've got so many songs I've written, I just need to record them. And a few days later, I got a telephone call from a fellow in Riverside who said, "Well, that's my hobby. I'd like to record you." So I made a couple CDs of my own tunes and registered them at the Library of Congress and things like that. And I had to fill out a little blurb on an independent website that was going to sell the CDs for me. And I put the background about having the Mod 4 and that we'd recorded some singles and whatever. And I guess my email was there or something. And I got this email from a fellow who said, "Are you the Nellie Hastings that was in the Mod 4 that wrote Open Up Your Mind?" And again, I had a double take. I said, "Yeah, that's me." And this was a fellow named Mike who lived out in Massachusetts, who happened to have both of our records. And he was so taken with the garage band phenomenon that he was writing a book about garage bands from the 60s. And he made a big, thick book about bands across the whole country. And I told Kathy about this, and she provided some information and photos to him. And so we've got pictures in this book and a paragraph. Our record labels are in the back. It was just astonishing. Another astonishment.
If you want it, you can buy it on Amazon for $200.
Yeah,
I think there's one available.
He didn't make a lot of copies either.
No, and so another thing that had happened just a couple years ago, a friend had told me that she had seen an article, or maybe she sent it to me. It was on the internet called Downstate Sounds. It was a really nice article written about us, and we weren't contacted ahead of time. Someone, his name I later found out was Chris Young. So I read the article. I got in touch with him. I gave him a lot more information, and then he he put it out again with a lot of the added information to it. And you can, if you're interested, you can use this as a clickable link or do a Google search for the downstate sounds. So, and then the last thing here on our list is about a year ago, I heard from a man whose name was Michael Cusack. He said he owned a record label in Australia, and he wanted to know if he could put the song that Nellie wrote, the slow song, A Puppet, on an album that he was going to release in Australia and the United States. And at first no, this can't be real. So I Googled his name, and there was a couple articles on him. And I found out that he had read that Downstate Sounds article that I talked about right before. And then he wrote to this man, Chris Young, and wanted my email address, which Chris didn't give. He notified me, then I got in touch with him, and he wanted to know if he could put that on an album. And we said, okay. It was supposed to come out last fall, but with COVID, everything was pushed back. And now the release is supposed to be the summer of 2022. So we will see. It'd be pretty amazing to have a puppet coming out on an album 50 years after we made it.
And you can see from the photos here, we still keep in touch. Kathy, Alice, and I all stayed in Illinois. And the top photo is us at our class reunion last summer. And Barbara is out in Colorado. And I go out there every year. So that's a picture of us. Plus the t-shirts that we had made last summer to wear at our class reunion. We're wearing them today, just for all of you. So we sure thank all of you for listening to our story tonight.
Yeah.
But we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have if we haven't covered it already.
Thank you guys so much. This was really interesting. And I love how it seems like your work has really appreciated, at least like money-wise, on the market.
Well,
so,
no,
that's not going to us.
No.
Okay, so first question I feel like is actually from me. I want to get this clear. You guys sound like you were Beatles fans. Who was your favorite? Who was your favorite Beatle? I got to know where you guys are coming from.
Okay.
Nellie, do you want to go, or do
you go ahead, Kathy?
Okay, first of all, we are still fanatical Beatle fans. We go to Beatle Fest every summer. We took a Beatles trip to Liverpool and London in 2013, a two-week trip. Nellie has a museum like you wouldn't believe, like no one probably has in her basement, and a collection. I have a lot of stuff too. Compared to most people, it's massive, but compared to Nellie, no. But anyway, as far as my favorite, it's hard to say. Probably Paul was my first favorite, I suppose. And then there'd be times it was George and times it was John. Even though I played the drums, I don't think Ringo ever really made it to the top spot, but like Ringo though.
Yeah, I think my first was George, I guess because of the guitar playing, but I think Paul is my number one guy. Absolutely. Recently, I've been into Beatles on mono, so.
Well, I think you guys bring, that's
my uncle bought me these when I was in 5th grade in 1964 from his dollar store. They were $1, and now they're, well, John's up there. Now I think the mint is $400 or $500.
No, they're over 1,000.
Oh, okay.
And if they come in their original box, they're like 2,000.
It's keep everything in its original box.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like you guys bring up a good point where you go through phases on what your favorite is. That's how good they were.
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
You really tapped into something when you asked us about the Beatles. Probably more information than anybody here cares about.
Yeah.
So somebody asks if you ever recorded live. I mean, they said studio or live. You already covered the studio part, but it's a good question. Did anybody ever record you guys live?
Oh boy, now you're asking something that my mom always wishes there was better ways to record. In those days, I think we did a couple reel-to-reels or tape. We do have a CD, It's not a CD. I mean, it was
Well,
like
a recording of, it was on tape to begin with, yeah.
but we
it-
didn't have the capability then, and for videos, and we wish we had.
And if you can imagine how large that VFW hall was, that was probably the place where Kathy's mom recorded us. And it was just massive. So the sound would go to the other end of the hall and then back to the recorder. So it was, it gives an idea, but there's nothing really audible to listen to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. When somebody said that they have your 45s in their jukebox.
Oh, I know
You know who
that
those
is.
are. Yeah, that's
That's
Eric and,
Eric King.
and Melissa.
Yes, it's a
Who we
woman named
met,
Melissa.
we met in Liverpool and London on our Beatle Fest trip. Hi,
Yeah.
Eric. Hi, Melissa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Hi, you guys.
great. Oh, I love
We'll
Zoom.
see you at the fest this summer, we hope. We hope COVID
Yeah.
doesn't knock it out again.
Yep.
Somebody else said that it's been fun listening. It's a great trip down memory lane, especially the short dresses and go-go boots. My maiden name is Downey, and her brother John went to high school at Aledo High.
Oh, yes.
right.
Oh,
John
yeah.
Downey.
We knew John,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow, that's nice. Somebody just says, outstanding. What was your favorite gig / memory?
Oh, well, it had to
boy.
be going out to Hollywood. I mean,
Oh,
first
yeah.
of all, we got to put our semester exams on hold to go out to Hollywood in January, where it was warm. So that was fun, and we even went to Disneyland that trip
Yeah, that was fun.
from. Yeah.
Gigs around that would, I can't really think of anything in particular. We did so many. I can't think of it. State Fair was fun. That was towards the
Yeah.
end. We played, there was a band that was popular at the time called American Breed. We've got a picture of us with them. They had a few hit songs. And
Yeah.
there were a lot of them that were fun. It was so long ago. It was just,
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
all fun.
but happening, yeah, that was the pinnacle.
That was it. Yeah.
Somebody says you were so cool, Aunt Nellie, but I think they actually meant you are so cool.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, that we were is, that throws you off a little bit. But you don't wear the polka dot shirts anymore, so.
No, I've just got the tie dye here.
Somebody asked what was the largest, like your biggest audience that you played to?
Oh, I think about 20,000.
Oh,
No, I'm
right.
joking.
Well,
The Who at the Thunderdome.
yeah, it depends. I mean, some of the
It was
things like
that
the
opening
State
gig for
Fair.
the Monkees.
Yeah, well,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
No,
But
no, I don't know. Go ahead, Nellie.
I would just say, sometimes if when we were at that Mississippi Valley Fair, I have this big tent and big area in my memory, but I don't know, a lot of them were small gigs, and we played at the YMCA in our hometown a lot, and
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, I don't think we had any record breakers.
Well, you guys were so young. I mean,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on, it's amazing you could play in front of 10 people.
Yeah, well, like I said, we were courageous.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if Alice, does she still have the farfisa? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
The what?
The
The organ?
The organ?
Yeah, the organ. Yeah. Do you
I
know
don't
if she
know.
still has
I
it?
doubt it. I don't know.
No, I think that would have been with the
Yeah.
equipment that your dad had,
Yeah, it's probably. I
actually.
think.
Somebody asked, did you guys have any local influences? You mentioned the big names, but was there anybody, like maybe a family member, or maybe you guys had gone to see a band at the VFW and you were kind of like, I'd like to be like them?
No, it was the Beatles and
Yeah,
the whole British invasion and that. It wasn't anybody that
Yeah.
for me that I saw. It was just saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan and that was it.
But we did go to a lot of concerts when we were like in
Yeah.
6th grade
Yeah.
and
Oh,
7th
sure.
grade, to see, you know,
Love and
Buffalo
Spoonful,
Springfield, Love
yeah.
and Spoonful, the
Pigeon.
Association,
Yeah.
Sonny and Cher. I mean, we saw a lot of the big
Yeah, we
names,
did.
and we were just little girls, and along with a lot of other little girls who wanted to go see the concerts.
Where? They wouldn't have come to Alito.
It was, no, they were, those concerts were up in Davenport, Iowa. There was a
Okay.
big Masonic temple that has a concert hall, and we would go up there. So
Yeah, it's just about 30 miles from us, so we went
Yeah.
there.
But
fairly-
Kathy's grandmother was a house mother over at Knox College in Galesburg, and we went over there for a couple things. I think we played, but I remember Kathy and I went over one time when Peter and Gordon, a duo from Great Britain, were performing. So we went to other concerts too. So whatever.
Somebody asked, did any boys ever want to be in your band?
Well, if they did, I don't know if they said anything to us.
Nobody said anything. No.
And was it hard to be in an all-girl band?
I don't
No,
think
it
so.
wasn't for me.
I think that the guys probably thought we were pretty cool girls for doing what we did.
Well,
But
there is someone from Leo who had told me that I influenced him to start playing the drums.
Well, that's cool.
That is cool.
You know,
What
Yeah.
was your favorite song
Facebook.
to play? You guys probably both have different songs, but what was it?
I don't know if I can
Uh,
remember one.
Well,
song.
I know I did some screamers. I mentioned White Rabbit. I would sing that like Grace Slick, and I did Piece of My Heart like Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
I did Aretha, Respect. Back in those days, I could really belt it out. At least I thought I was.
Yeah.
But it was much better than Misery when I started. At least I hope it was.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the song list for me, but I right now I can't think of a particular song.
We did Wipeout.
We did so many top
Oh.
40 songs all day. Yeah, Wipeout. Yes, I was able to show my drum skills on Wipeout.
Absolutely.
Somebody wants a reunion gig. Anything in the works?
Oh, I know who that is, but no.
I'd have to buy another drum set.
Yeah, I'd have to work on the calluses on my fingers because they are not there any longer. And I just don't, I don't think, even with Zoom, I don't think the four of us would probably have our hearts in it anymore.
Not the same energy. And then who designed the band logo?
Who designed it?
Yeah, do you know? How'd you
Boy,
guys
that's a
get
good
such
question.
a cool band
Nellie,
logo?
do you remember that?
Well, I think it was probably the artist who that your dad hired to paint the sign. First, it was like with these Gothic letters. And then I don't know whether the same person did the lettering on the drum head or not. But I think it was just a local printer artist type person.
Yeah,
as
I
far as
like
know.
that. I think my drum head was stolen. I was really sad about that. I brought it to Chicago when I moved up here and moved to different apartments. And one day I just realized, wait, where's that drum head? And I did purchase some drums. There was a short time, I was 30 years old. I got into a band with guys that played top 40. I was just in about 6 weeks. I had a day job. It was kind of hard. And one place I lived, someone had broken into the storage downstairs and had stolen a drum set. And I bet that drum head was in there because I took it around with me. So I am kind of sorry I lost that. If I still had it, I think I'd have it hanging up in my wall in here.
Absolutely. It was great.
I'll let you guys know if I see it on the internet. for
Yeah.
sale.
Thanks.
After this, who knows?
I know.
Maybe the guy in Makokata trying to sell our record.
Well, again, thank you guys very much. It looks like it's the end of the questions.
Wait, what's this I see about we can't blame Yoko?
For breaking up the Mod 4, probably.
Oh, no, that's right. No, we can't blame her for that.
No, Yoko wasn't even close to us.
A comment from a Beatle fan.
Yeah.
That's
Melissa.
actually the only thing we can't blame on her.
Yeah, well.
Somebody says thank you. I just want to make sure that nobody else has any more questions because we do have 3 more minutes.
Okay.
Oh, that's my nephew saying thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, thank you very much for having us on to give this presentation, and we're hoping it can go on to YouTube for people.
Yes,
Couldn't
and
make it.
Hello to Karen DeBoard. Glad you could watch.
yeah, this was really an interesting one. Thanks a lot. You guys are cool, both of you guys.
Thank you very, very much.